James Ernst of the Gruel and Truth Radio Network here with Alex Spears from Through the Decades Sports Cards. So how did you first get involved with collecting?
Well, as a young kid like most, you would mow lawns or do the chores around the house for your, extra dollar to get a couple of packs of Tops or Score or, Fleer back in the, late 80s, early 90s is kind of when I started. And I was like everybody else, just wanted to get my favorite player, in a pack and then into my special binder.
I know what you mean. Shoot, definitely those scorecards back in the day, or Fleer, like you said, and of course everybody loves Tops. I mean, shoot, the gold standard. Who was your favorite player back in the day?
So as a young man, my first professional baseball game ever was a Yankee game. So I've grown up a Yankee fan. My first game was in 1988. But as a kid, I also loved the Bash brothers. So Canseco and McGuire in Oakland, it was tough not to be rooting for them if you were a 90s baby.
Oh, I know what you mean, how phenomenal they were. And it seemed like they were more than just baseball players. They kind of felt like rock stars at points.
They really did, especially with that, the World Series against the San Francisco Giants. And, they were household names before then. But that was such a unique World Series that I think everybody remembers that really kind of kept them in the lore of the story forever.
So how did you start the company?
Well, as a kid, I wanted to buy and sell sports cards, and, I'm one of the lucky people that got to use their passion as a career. So early on eBay and card shows, I was very fortunate. My best friend, Matt, his dad also loved cards, so he would pick us up every Saturday morning and drive us to shops and shows and, anywhere we could drive in a one-day span and get back before anybody noticed we'd skip the whole day, But that's kind of how it started for me, and like most, I went to school and lost a little interest, but still had to, pay the bills. So I kind of picked it back up as more of a business at that point and, took some regular people jobs and, shirt and tie jobs and just said, it's really not what I want to do. I really want to buy and sell cards for a living. So I kind of rolled up the stakes and started saving my money for almost 10 years and then decided that it was just time. So I just opened it up and went for it.
I know what you mean. Shoot, when you have a job that you love, it isn't like working at all.
It really isn't. I actually, my wife always says that she's jealous because I cannot wait to go to bed because that means I get to wake up the next morning and go to work. And she's like, you have to be one of the few people in the world that wants to go to bed early so they can get to work sooner.
So does your company buy, sell, and trade, or just buy, sell, or just sell, or what combination?
All of it. Buy, sell, and trade. We have found it's easier when it's just to buy the cards we want and then let them use that money to buy what they want from us or wherever else. I think trading makes it a little tougher because we all turn into the Scrooge McDuck, if you will, when you were kids sitting at the kitchen table with your friends. It becomes much more personal at that moment because you're trading for what you want, and we really have to think of everything as a dollar amount. So it makes it a little weirder. It kind of takes some of the fun out of it, to be honest with you, but I think most of our customers and people that know us have gotten used to that. And I think a lot of dealers are turning to that, where we'll give you this amount for this item or these items. You use it how you please in the store.
Makes sense. Yeah, I was going to say keeping it more on a professional basis. Do sports cards, what type of sports cards do you all sell?
So we specialize in baseball, basketball, and football. We are kind of 90s and up. We do tinker with the vintage, so I've always considered vintage 75 and older, and really I think more people consider it 69 and older. But we do tinker. We still have a display case or two dedicated to vintage baseball and football, but our predominance is 90s and up. Rookies, autographs, game use, kind of the things everybody's hunting for right now, and obviously the 90s insert stuff is exploded on the market and become, very sought after and asked for. And we do a little bit of hockey and soccer and, some of the Star Wars collectibles and things like that as those new releases come about, because that stuff has really become insanely popular over the past several years once Topps got some licensing for Star Wars, and you're starting to see these secondary companies produce. I actually saw on the list, I think this week comes out, I've got blank on the movie now, I'll think of it here in a second, but some of the, Rick and Morty television shows are starting to get their own cards, and it's become a different genre of collector with those as well.
So with that, besides the sports cards, what other items do you all get into when it comes to collectibles?
So we do memorabilia and action figures, like the McFarlanes and things like that from the sports players. We are a little different. I grew up in the eBay age at the start, so I was selling on eBay in 1998. So I've always had the rule if it didn't fit in the 000 envelope, I didn't have an out. And when you run a business like this, you have to have a safety net. Like, it's great when you have several hundred customers walk through your door in a week or two, but there's millions online. So we try to stick to things that are easy to ship, safe to ship. I know my customers are going to get it, in the condition they expect to when they see the pictures, etc. So we do memorabilia, but we generally only do that in the store just because of that issue. Like, we just picked up a nice Jordan UDA authenticated jersey, beautifully framed, and it's the NBA Finals version that he numbered out of 123. So we do high-end, memorabilia as well, but we definitely specialize closer to the sports cards.
So I hear there's a big holiday coming up. When is National Baseball Card Day?
So that actually, the first bit of it started, I believe it was 2 weekends ago. We do have some of those promo packs. That was Topps Baseball Card Day. And then as we progress through the month, you'll have some of the other specials. I believe there's one on the last Saturday of this month. I believe that's next weekend. And anybody that comes in and spends $10 on Topps products will get the Reese Hoskins, Topps rookie promo from them. So Topps, Panini, all of them do a really good job of having special promotion packs for Nationals and Father's Days and Black Fridays. So they all do a great job of kind of giving the consumer what they're used to when it comes to brick and mortar shopping and sales. So they've done a great job adjusting.
Some of the really neat cards that have come out of late, wanted to touch base with you on and get your opinion on some of their sets. The Bowman Draft baseball from 2017. I mean, obviously with it being a draft set, it's a lot of rookies, I would guess, right?
It definitely is. So I've always kind of give the basic description of Bowman is for prospecting, which are gentlemen that were drafted but have not really played in anything yet, so you're kind of predicting the future. And Topps is more, which they're the same company, but Topps labeled products are more for the current players that have hit their rookie class as well as current and former stars. So with your 2017 Bowman Draft, every year Bowman Draft, that product comes out hot and stays hot because every single player in it, for the most part, is a prospect that's never played a game. It's their first card, and then it gives you an opportunity for years for those guys. Most people forget that Aaron Judge was drafted, I believe, the same year as Bryce Harper. He didn't come into play until last year, where Bryce Harper had been playing 5 or 6 years. So it just takes certain guys longer to get there, but that doesn't mean they don't belong. So that those old Bowman products could become gold mines as time passes. And, at one point you're opening and hoping to pull Bryce Harper, and then you're digging through your bulk boxes, in your basement or spare bedroom or wherever it is to find that guy that was the next emerging star from that same class.
Wow, so it sounds like something like that, has a lot of potential then.
It really does. It's stuff that no dealer wants to sell because we all are kind of the same impression that, my gosh, who's going to be the next guy that blows up? And then, no customers want to sell us their singles because, hey, he might only be $1 now, but he could be the next Mike Trout or Aaron Judge in this case that just becomes, second to none in the collecting market.
You mentioned, the mainstream sports with the football and the basketball and the hockey. I know sometimes they'll do special types of cards with the Olympics. What's your thoughts on those type of cards?
I think they are great products that really capitalize on what you're seeing in the news. I don't believe, for the most part, don't have the long-term value that I think uh, experienced or investor collectors are looking for. They are definitely a short-term, but you do end up with people like Michael Phelps who become household names long after the Olympics. And boy, I wish I'd have bought every autograph I could of him back at the time, but you just don't realize who's going to become the household name. And Simone, I believe was her name, that just won like every gold medal last week, I believe it was, in the spring event. So there are Olympians that become household names after several years.
So, in other words, they're kind of more boomer bust, I would say, with, like you said, the Michael Phelps, which is huge, but then you'll have a lot of ones that are kind of more just generic or basic, so it's more of kind of like a fun product, I guess?
I think it's definitely a fun product, and I think what makes it so great, though, is that there is something about the amateur title, if you will, that you just can't help but root for them, and it is fun. It's kind of like prospecting baseball. Who's going to be the next big track athlete? Who's going to be a wrestler that, wrestled at Wisconsin or Ohio State, one of the big programs, wins an Olympic medal, and then 10 years down the line, you see them in the WWE. So it ends up being their first card. So there's so many new things where people are kind of transpiring just the sport they play in. I think that product has much bigger legs as we move forward, as the entertainment industry is becoming such a major part of sports.
With Topps, the 2018, they have a Series 1 and Series 2. Do they usually do the multi-series for the season?
For about as long as I can remember, they have done multi-series. Then recently they've begun Topps Update, and that really exploded on the market with Mike Trout. So he's one of those guys that ended up getting his rookie stature through baseball later in the season after they had already produced the first two sets. So then they make an update set, which is everybody that was not in those first two sets that they realized they missed or could have put in there, etc. A lot of times it's traded cards. If you remember the old traded set, 100-card traded set back in the 80s. So they fall into that category. So they really become many players' first card, and it's usually a year before they actually get the mass production, if you will, of their rookie card. So they have update baseball has kind of become the new hot pickup to make sure you have, a set built, one of everybody, and then maybe even a couple field boxes on a closet shelf. They just never go down.
So would that be kind of like the update series? Would that be similar to the Topps now, or because that's so just, instantaneous, a completely different thing all to itself?
In a way, I guess it would be its own thing, just because the Topps now is kind of an online program, if you will, where you do still get the card, if you will, but it's not packs, it's not random, if you will. I guess it takes out the luck of the draw, if you will. So, but it does fall into that same category where if somebody gets hot, they can make a quick card up and have it produced on their website ready for sale, and customers can get their hands on their first opportunity before they can get it in packs or available at the local store.
What's the biggest difference between Topps and Topps Finest?
So Topps Finest and Topps Chrome, I kind of picture as the premium version of Topps. So Topps is your, honestly, introductory collector, and a lot of times it's just the one you buy of every year you've been alive. It's the base set, it's everybody's kind of first card. And back in the 60s, 70s, and even 80s, that really meant something. And now, to kind of grasp at these new collectors and these older markets where people are going back in our age bracket and collecting again, they're looking for a little bit more of a challenge. They're looking for higher end pulls. They're looking for refractors and parallels and those things they remember as kids that were so ungrabbable and ungraspable because of price. And, when you're mowing lawns, you don't have the money for those types of cards. So it really kind of goes Topps, and then Topps Chrome is the shiny version of the same card, same picture, if you will. And then Topps Finest is kind of a spin-off of that, which started in '93 with baseball. And if you look back at the history of that set, it has done nothing but explode in value, and those refractors are just worth thousands of dollars in high grade. So I think that's kind of where the the evolution of cards has changed, where they took their original 90s ideas and then really evolved them to the current, outlook.
In that case, what's the Alan Gentry set?
So it is Allen and Ginter, which was back in, at the, really pull my memory here, it was in the 30s. They were originally tobacco cards, or they were actually in pouches of tobacco. And that was kind of a throwback to those years. It started in, I think it was 2006. And it kind of mixes pop culture and sports. So back when tobacco was originally sold in that generation, women generally did the shopping. So to persuade them to buy a certain brand of tobacco versus another, they would put little cards in it or picture cards, and they would be of movie stars and musicians and things that were predominantly women-oriented interest. So they would buy those brands over other brands to collect all the cards. And that's really how cards evolved. Then when it became men shopping for their own cards, they switched it to boxers and baseball players and more male-dominated interests, if you will. And then from there, Allen and Ginter kind of rebranded itself under the Top logo and then made those same prop-type items where you might have a musician in it. You might have a Stephen King autograph. You might also get a baseball autograph. There's been Olympians in it, and boxers, Floyd Mayweather, etc. have been in these products over the past. And it is probably one of my favorite products just because I love the mixture and the story behind its line and what it produces for customers.
Oh, wow. So it's definitely sounds like a unique product that kind of harks back to the origins of collecting.
It really does. And I think at the beginning it did a great job of bringing back, like you said, the origins to the younger collectors so we kind of understood how this all began. But it also did a great job of getting older collectors that hadn't collected in years to come back to the program going, oh, wow, I remember when it was like this, or I remember my dad's tobacco pouch and digging through it to get the card out of it. So, obviously we're taking out the tobacco labeling and the branding of all of those items, but it follows that same principle in suit. It's been incredibly popular.
Do you all get into the MMA cards at all?
We do a little bit. As an MMA fan as well, it goes through peaks and valleys of popularity. It takes a big name brand person to kind of explode it back. The Ronda Rouseys and the Cormier, and I've gone completely blank on the most popular gentleman now, but it is one of those products that Topps has done a great job of providing pieces of the mat from the fights that you watch and pieces from their uniforms and jerseys and warm-ups, etc. So they've done a great job of giving an opportunity for sports fans that aren't your traditional baseball, basketball, football fans, but are also sports fans. So it gives them another line of product. It helps brick and mortars as having another opportunity to bring in new collectors. So it has been a great product that I think we'll see for years to come, especially as MMA viewership has continued to rise.
Is there a main card in the new knockout set that people should be looking for?
To be honest with you, I have not really checked out the checklist, but I know that, again, Ronda Rousey is always going to be a big one. I think Daniel Cormier kind of solidifying himself as the pound-for-pound number one fighter in the league is going to be a big pickup. I'm assuming he is on the checklist. So I think it'll be interesting to see as they do really well with bringing in they have rookie cards, if you will, their first appearance cards. So those are things to look for as some of these big fighters are now retiring or towards the end. You're going to see these new upgrades of fighters, both male and female. I think people will be looking for those cards on a hot list for sure.
You mentioned about how when you started doing the sales of cards, a lot of it is also online. I saw somewhere that you do streaming sales. What's that all about?
So we do on our Facebook page, which is Through the Decades Sports Cards on Facebook. Every Wednesday from 7 to 10 o'clock, we generally run a stream sale, and we pick up all the items that we've picked up, bought, and traded for the previous week. We bring out, showcase for the first time for our customers to see. Gives them their first opportunity to see it. And it's great for us. We're able to lack of better words, coming out some of the fees that we assess by having things on eBay and other outlets like Amazon, etc. It's nice to be able to get direct to the customer, get them a better price, saves us a little bit of money. And I grew up in the age where you'd get up on Home Shopping Network, and at 10 o'clock till midnight, there'd be this guy yelling at you in the screen and telling you need to invest now and you have to pick up your King Griffey Jr. rookies and on and on and on. And we didn't want to have that, but we did want to have that feel of the good old days where you look forward to watching this show and you look forward to being there live and being able to hear their opinions and ask questions and hear what your customers are saying about new products and who they're collecting and who they think is going to be the next on the rise. So it's been fun, and we look forward to really growing that, as the years to go.
Sounds great. It just sounds like a shame that there's going to be no Don West special guest appearance on the show then.
Maybe we could work something like that out.
Yeah. I was going to say, shoot, I know what you mean back in the day with the Home Shopping Channel and all, and some of his over-the-top enthusiasm, and then later on he ended up going into professional wrestling. Speaking of that, what's your thoughts on wrestling cards? Are there any that in particular that are like should go out and invest in, or is it more just if you're a fan of wrestling, that kind of thing?
I really believe that every card, no matter the sport, whether you collect gaming or Magic or sports or whatever it is, you should collect what you like. You should collect the memories and what you remember it. And if you're treating it like a business too much, it will take out what it did for my generation and the generations before us. It's a great opportunity to learn and see all of the different athletes and discover people you didn't know before and begin to watch them. That being said, to answer your question on the wrestling up-and-comers, admittedly, I'm not a huge wrestling fan. I know that Ronda Rousey just won her last WWE event, I believe it was. So I think her first wrestling cards are definitely going to be a hot commodity, very, very quickly. So I would expect those to be the top end list for everybody to pull or find.
So we found that you can, of course, buy through the streaming sales. But what if a fan wants to come into the store? Where do they need to go for that?
If they would like, they can also check out our Facebook page or feel free to come to the store. It's 1951 South Firstbourne Parkway in Louisville, Kentucky. That's a 40220 zip code. Or they can get in touch with me by cell phone, which is 502-554-7222.
And then, of course, they can do the social media and then your all's website as well, right?
Correct. So we do have a website that has been under new construction again, which is ttdcards.com. So it's through the decades, just abbreviated. And on there, we are posting all of the new boxes and having those price points available. And this is a new thing that's become very popular. It's just breaking. So you may live in a town that doesn't have a local card shop, but you really want to open a new box of, Origins football came out, for example, today. Well, you can PayPal us. We can open the box live on stream, so you get to see exactly what you pull as the box is open, and then we package it out and ship all your cards to you. So it's a nice way to do it where you get all your cards in sleeves and top loads, and they're already prepped and ready and delivered to your door without having to drive the distance to find a shop or take a chance on buying things on eBay. And hopefully most sellers on there are honest, but at least with us, you get to see it live. You know exactly what you're getting in a non-fondled box, if you will.
Oh wow, that sounds great. It sounds like that would be the way to do things.
It's definitely become the evolution of cards. That is for sure.
Your final thoughts just on collecting in general and where fans can go to learn more about cards.
I think there are so many articles out there that you would almost be overwhelmed. I always kind of give everybody the advice of going, first decide what you like and what you want, and then really start at the basics of, hey, I prefer basketball, for example, and I prefer to pull jerseys or autos or rookie cards, or I want to build base sets. And Beckett.com does a great job of breaking down each new product and kind of rates them as what they're best for from a 1 to 5 star. So you might get 5 stars on autographed rookies, but it might get 0 stars on veteran autos. So if you're looking for veteran autos, that's probably not the product for you. But I think any local store can really help out customers. And if you're in our area, we'd be more than happy to, take a few minutes, figure out what it is you're looking for, what your objective is, and help guide them in the right direction.
Sounds great, Alex. I'd like to thank you for being on the show today. Alex from Through the Decades Sports Cards.
Thank you so much for the invite. We loved it.
My pleasure.